Learn how to draw a fantasy map with Polk County Library. Let's draw a fantasy map together. Here are the supplies you'll need. A piece of paper, plain old computer paper will work. If you have our How to Draw a Fantasy Map PDF, inside that PDF you'll find 2 map templates, a horizontal one like this, and we also have a vertical one. You'll also need a pencil and a pen, colored pencils or anything you want to color with, and then from that same PDF, we also have some detail idea sheets that'll give you some ideas on how to draw different parts of the map you may want. One optional supply is also some rice or beans. We're going to use that to draw landmass if you want. So let's get started. Now first off, you can draw the landmass however you want to draw it. You do not have to do it this way. I like to use rice because it gives it a sort of fun, random aspect to my map. So we're going to start and pour it onto our paper. Then using hands and pencils, you're going to scoot that rice around to give you the shape of your continent. Make little islands, push the rice around to get it where you want it. Once you've got all your rice where you want it to be, you've got your islands and everything in place, you're going to take your pencil and draw around your rice to draw your landmass. Keep in mind that no country or continent border is perfectly smooth, so you're going to want that bumpy texture from the rice. Add some little bump outs and squiggles in your country border. Okay, now that I've got my country drawn, I'm going to go ahead and dump my rice carefully back into the cup, and you can go ahead and put that away. So we've got our landmass drawn. Right now it's pretty light. We'll go back in with a Sharpie at the end and make it a lot darker. That's okay. Okay, so now it's time to start adding the detail. So I'm going to start with my terrain here. I need to figure out where am I going to put some mountains. Maybe I'll put a volcano on there. Let's find out where I can put some of these details like hills and sand dunes. Okay, so where am I going to put these mountains? Let's see, I'll put them right here on the right side of my map. Now this is the way I draw mountains and maps. You can certainly draw them however you want to. This is your map, you draw your mountains how you'd like. Got a nice mountain range going down the continent, sort of fading into sort of foothills there. Okay, I've got my mountain range here on the right side of my paper. Add in some of the extra details, some little snow caps, extra little mountains. Let's see, let's add some other terrain. So I think in the middle of my map, I'm going to leave that sort of like a plains area, sort of wide open space. But over here on the left side, I'm going to add some just gentle sloping hills. And those, all you have to do is just sort of a curved line to sort of show the hills. That's all the terrain I'll put on for now. I may go back in later and add some more, but let's look at the water. What kind of water features am I going to put in there? Lake, river, maybe a little bay in the ocean. So let's decide. I think I'm going to start with a river, coming from my mountains down to the ocean. Now, when you draw rivers, keep in mind that as it gets closer to the ocean, the bigger it's going to get. All the rivers in the area will be pouring into that one bigger river, so it's going to get larger and larger as it gets closer to the ocean. So start skinny up in my mountains and go down. We're going to add, let's add a lake over here by my foothills, just sort of fitting it into the terrain, what kind of makes sense. Now to help show what's water versus what's land, you can add these little squiggle lines to show the sort of the waves in the water. So I'm adding those to my lake, adding a little bit to just the mouth of the river and into the ocean. Let's see, let's do something with this island here. I think I'm going to make that, let's make it a volcanic island. So I'm going to draw a little volcano on there. Some rocky foothills next to that volcano. So now we've got some terrain and some lakes. Let's add some other details. Let's start with some trees. Where we're going to add some trees. Now there's lots of different types of trees and lots of different ways to draw trees. Pretty basic style is this first one here. I like to call them the lollipop tree. You've got your puffy sort of cloud tree, palm tree, triangle pine tree. Now this is your world, so it could be an alien world, so you could have trees that you completely make up. This is all your map, so you decide what kind of trees you're going to do. Then the bottom section here just shows how you can group those trees together to show a forest or the woods. Let's add some to the map now. I'm going to start with a little forest by my lake. And all I'm doing is just drawing a random shape with squiggly outlines and then adding some straight lines at the bottom and sides to show that there's some tree trunks there. I'm going to keep going and adding various forests around my island. Right now we're just putting in sort of the rough sketches. We can go back with our fine tip Sharpie or marker later and really give those final details in a little bit. Right now we just want to sort of place those land masses and those elements where they need to go. We'll refine later. Now, we've drawn the landmass, some of the terrain and things. You could call this good. You can call this done and go on to coloring. The last section on the idea page is how to draw some different buildings and cities to add to your map. Like this really large walled-in fortress city at the top here. There's also like a really cool cathedral building, a little orc village, even just a simple farmhouse and campground. I know I want to add a capital city somewhere, so this will give me great ideas on maybe what kind of buildings I want to add. I'm going to start over here in my foothills. I'm going to start by drawing just a little simple farming village. I'm going to start with just some simple houses, simple shapes. Start building my storyline. Maybe this is the farming village that supplies all the food and grain to the capital city. Keeping it simple, we can add those fancy details later when we go back in with the Sharpie and coloring. I'm going to put a dot here, that way I can add that dot to my legend, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So here in this wide open area, I think that'll be the great spot for the capital city. I'm going to keep it simple by just drawing a little fort, little four-wall fort here. That's going to be the capital city. And again, I'm going to put that little dot there, that way I can mark it on my map legend. Now let's talk final details. Up here at the top in this sort of banner is where you can put the name of your country. I haven't thought of one yet, I'll add that later. And then we're going to work on the map legend. That's where you're going to write the names of these different places so that your map doesn't get bogged down by lots of words. So I'm going to add different symbols that represent the different areas. So this forest, I added a star, and then I'll draw that same star on my map legend, and I'll write the name there. So I'm going to call my forest, at least that forest, the forest of... oh, fantasy names can be hard. I'm going to go with the Forest of Light. It is a fantasy world. You can name your fantasy elements whatever you want. So I'm also going to add each of these cities to my map legend. That way I'll know what they are. Now it is time to grab that Sharpie or pen or marker and start going over your pencil lines. This is where you can add any extra details, make some adjustments, because once it's in Sharpie, you can't go back. And here is my map all Sharpied out. Welcome to the kingdom of Araleva. I've gone through, I've added some more details, I've sort of thinned out some areas. I made my foothills by the farming village a little smaller, added some details to my mountains. Just sort of cleaned up and refined, added some cliff sides. I also named all my important elements and finished my map legend. Now, You can leave it like this. This can be completely done. You can leave your map black and white. Personally, I'm a big fan of coloring, so I'm going to color my map after I finish adding any details. You can call this good. You can start working on your storyline. What's always fun is on the back side of my maps, I always like to add a little bit of history of my countries. So for me, I'm going to sit here and color my map. You obviously do not have to. You can start on a new map, color away, have fun. Okay, and here's my map all colored in. I hope you had a great time drawing this fantasy map. We'd love to see your final maps. You can post them on social media, tag us, or bring them by the library and let us see them. Thanks for watching. We hope you had fun. We'll see you later. Bye!